back after game 1, and Team Heretics just ended the unbeaten record of BDS Academy in this tournament. I cannot believe it, guys. This is not what I expected for the first game, but yet again, we were wondering if Team Heretics would have the answers against BDS today, and it looks like they did, at least in draft.
Yeah, I feel like they came in with a pretty smart approach.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me was that they left the AD carry priority so late, right? They didn't pick for Jack Spectra until the second rotation, but they brought out this Senna Seraphine that they clearly thought would work well here. And it meant that their top side of the map got exactly what they wanted, right? They got the Wukong, the Aatrox, and the Victor. We actually highlighted those at the start of the day, right? We said these are like the best picks for them. So sure, you did leave the priority a bit later for your bot lane, but you got so much in return for it.
Yeah, and at least for me as well, when you're BDSA here, you slam Caitlyn, you slam Olaf, you slam Vi. You kind of won a pretty successful early game when you have those 3 champions. And it felt like, to me, the responses that came with the Senna Seraphine kind of does a lot to nullify that. Even though you started to see a bit of a lane lead come out from this counter pick from Odote on the Soraka, it didn't really amount to much because Heretics still returned. Once the level 6 power spike came, when you have those ultimates available, the kill threat is a lot more prevalent. And effectively, all of the groundwork that Crownie and Odote as a duo tried to set up was effectively crumbled within one play.
Yeah, and I think what was fantastic was that we saw Zvero and Blue having the advantage in the mid jungle, right? So they ended up investing resources there. They managed to put Rika behind, and then because there wasn't that priority there, sure, we did see that top dive for Adam where he got a kill, and we saw the plate advantage bot, but it never garnered anything more. And I think with the composition that we saw from BDSA, they really needed more of an advantage in the mid game to take over this one. A
bit worse on the early game on the side of Heretics, though, because we talked about bot lane dominance, things coming from the mid lane as well, and this is how they played, basically. But they were not so convincing, I feel, in the early game. This is afterwards that they popped out.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, again, it was more about ensuring that Rika couldn't move to supplement those side lanes, and the Heretics 2v2 just kind of shut that down. And even though, sure, we had plays like this which kind of go amiss for the side of Heretics, it didn't really slow them down or the tempo in the game. Like we said, when you have this super aggro early opening to your draft from BDSA, you kind of need, you know, a massive lead in the top lane, 1 versus 1 for Adam. You kind of need, you know, Crownie to have taken multiple plates, have a massive CS lead so you can move your Caitlyn around, actually secure priority around neutral objectives. We didn't really get to see it come out too frequently, and it's kind of because of plays like this where BDSA just take one more step too far forward than they had to.
But when you look at fights like this, you would think that they have the right composition and playing to their strength, but this is later on during the game that things fell off.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the fact they got those 2 early dragons really gave them a lot of strength that I was concerned about for Heretics, but it came to the point where, you know, that 3rd fight there where they didn't quite work it the right way. Adam was a little bit isolated, which, you know, typically is fine, but when you have the Soraka, you really want to have him grouped up to keep him just this unkillable machine.
We went over the fact that BDS Academy especially came together during team fights, but in these key moments today, Team Heretics came ahead, and Ox, maybe you want to talk us through how they set up Baron especially.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of highlight the pivotal play which actually resulted in basically Heretics taking control and winning out the game, and it was obviously that Baron they were able to secure. So the reason that they were so good at this was the fact that they got this one individual pick onto the Soraka, and it was how well they were able to translate that into the rest of the play, because a lot of teams, if you get that singular pick, it's like, it's great, it's fantastic, but we're able to move it into a little bit more. And this has LDLC on, so I think select this clip. Here we go. So start this clip. The thing I want to highlight is obviously we see the attempt for BDSA to make the play here. But as you continue, nothing really comes from it. We see the TPs. And the big thing with this is obviously means that we have all members on the top side of the map. Ultimately, as I said, doesn't amount to anything, but then there's a little bit of a contest coming out for Vision, and Odote makes a mistake where he steps up, and it's nicely played. We see the slow from Jack Spectra with the E from Seraphine, and that kills the Soraka. The reason that's significant is because now you've taken away the wards from the side of BDSA, and Heretics do a fantastic job of setting up this Baron. The big thing to note is that we still have Flash on the Vi, who we see here, and she can get in the pit easily, so you don't want to 50-50 this Baron. So what we end up seeing is that there's this route taken here where Blue Resort moves round over here with a sweeper, he moves through this bush as well, and he ensures that there's no vision there for the enemy team. As we continue the clip, we see him position in this bush here and wait, right? So he's posturing there, and the rest of the team start the Baron in the pit. you can tell immediately that they don't want to flip the Baron because they don't even have their jungler in the pit. But we see how this plays out. The approach comes from BDSA, they start to move over, and unfortunately Crownie, assuming he's safe because he thinks Wukong will be in the pit, he walks straight into Blue Resource. So as you play this forward, Engage comes through, and then Crownie ends up flashing here to get towards the rest of his teammates. Now, that's generally speaking the right call. As an AD carry, if you're isolated, flash towards your team. But the problem is, this sets up for the big Seraphine ult where Whiten flashes forward, it changed through everyone, and connects onto both Crownie and Rika, the backline carries. So immediately the transition from that initial pick into this big team fight win. And after that, the game is pretty much done. They secure the Baron, and it's just fantastic play. Really smart from Heretics to take that one pick and then transition it into a Baron and a one game.
Honestly, and they took their time into setting up their plays, it feels.
Yeah, and it just generally felt like Heretics as well were just sharper when it came to the execution in general, right? I think from the get-go, seeing that they were never really going to commit to the Baron, knowing that Xiao is alive, is kind of just a very brief example of it. All of the skirmishes really always went the Heretics' way because they were a little more consistent in terms of the decision-making. It felt like BDSA slightly different pages in some of those smaller skirmishes, specifically on the side lanes, and that was one of the major difference makers here for me, as well as, again, I feel like they kind of got a bit outdrafted. They drafted themselves into a bit of a hole with some of the responses the Heretics came out with.
And moving forward then, because BDS Academy is going to play blue side this time as they pick this side of the map, what kind of changes and adaptations can we expect from their side mostly? Because they're the one who have to do the hard work now.
Well, first and foremost, the Aatrox, right? They can potentially first pick that if it's not banned. So the question is, do we need to see it banned away by Heretics on the red side? But then it obviously leaves more opportunity for things to be left open. And I think the big thing with blue side, the reason we've seen it be so prevalent is there's so many picks that are super powerful or like really hard to deal with. And the weight will now be on Heretics to try and deny those away. Because ultimately, I think if you give Adam Aatrox, I can't think of what Aibo would pick into it that'd be able to deal with it. I don't think that necessarily is a pick. And then suddenly if you leave that open, maybe you're leaving other things. Sorry, if you ban that, you're leaving other things open that will be just as much of a problem.
And I think it's a new situation now for Team BDSA because they're down 0-1 for the very first time in this tournament. Will they be able to strike back? What do you think, Trouble? Tell us.
What do you think, Trouble?
What do you think?
Well, my height, first of all, is fluctuating. Because I'm trying to match you, but then I take my shoes off mid-cast, but then I don't have time to put them back on. So.
Well, BDS Academy probably want to put the dancing shoes back on.
That's it, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That last game was a lot about those team fights, and they couldn't quite hack it with the Heretics.
I mean, it's difficult when you have been out-comped when it comes to playing the team fights like Heretics. So much scaling, so much poke that they had, healing, shielding, AD damage, AP damage. They had an Aatrox that was popping off. I think this time, you need something more from the side of BDSA. You need to snowball that top side of the map or actually try to match the aggression towards bot. That's exactly how they were playing in spring. That's exactly how they started playing again towards the playoffs for this European Masters. And I'm like, try to maybe match that pressure, shut down Zerg Spectra.
And considering how we're talking coming out of draft in game one, it's pretty different.
Yeah.
This wasn't just the monstrous top diff that we've kind of come to expect, just in terms of monstrous top side from BDS Academy. Adam didn't quite get enough done. Rika actually exploited in this for pretty much the first time this tournament. These are things that we haven't come to expect from BDS Academy. So even just in terms of the teams that we know, things are a little bit awry.
It was a bit of a different look from Heretics as well, right? That wasn't the early game, we're diving bot side, Draven gameplay we've come to expect over the playoffs in particular. That was a little bit slower. Yes, they got about 1,000 gold lead off ganking mid lane stuff, but at least like comp-wise and how they played it was, okay, we've got 2 items, let's fight around this third dragon. That's not what we've seen out of this squad, and they did it actually very competently against an undefeated LFL team. That is pretty impressive, to say the least.
And I'd like to remind also what this means for players like Blue Razor and like Zerg Spectra. Zerg Spectra rumored to join G2 didn't happen, to join K-Corp didn't happen, ended up on Heretics, having a great run right now. Blue Razor was playing for BDS before BDS had an LEC spot, didn't make it to the main team in BDS. Now he's playing for Heretics. Heretics got an LEC spot. He's trying to prove that he is the jungler that his org needs in the LEC.
It's one of the very special things about Amazon EU Masters. You get this culmination of all these players' stories, so many players, so many teams, all of them having stories interweaving, and we're weaving between different sides of the draft. BDS Academy take up blue.
Oh baby, give me that Sejuani. Insta-lock, B1, that's Sejuani.
Xiao Sejuani has been nothing short of OP, shall we say, this tournament. He pulled it out in the quarterfinals and ran over people with it. Really able to find the skirmish and abuse that permafrost pass to the best.
Pop is open,
it is.
so I'll raise you an Azir for Rika, possibly?
Oh, yeah, you have a lot of first pick priorities up. This is not Heretics banning away all of the priority picks that you normally see. This is Adam's normal hover. Instead, it is going to be the Azir. And Rika's Azir has also been terrifying.
26 picks, 41 bans, 93% presence. It is the biggest pick at the European Masters this time around, as sponsored by Amazon. And now they've got to find out what they want to answer with. They're going towards this Lucian, and I suspect we know what will join it.
But here's the thing, if you do lock in the Lucian, then Xiao gets to have his Poppy on the other side. It cancels dashes, it's pretty easy to send Lucian flying away, and you also provide so much safety. Plus, there I mentioned his KDA on the champion, something like 10.5, 100% win rate.
Yeah, this is actually what I want, because you're getting the Nami anyway, and Nami isn't paired up with any other meta AD carry, so you're looking at a Lucian Nami coming in on third, save that second pick for the Sejuani. You know that Nami's not going to be taken away, get yourself another power pick. Heretics, they've overloaded the draft. Too many power picks up and available.
But Trouble did say earlier, look, well, there's still the Poppy available, right? So you can just pick that up. But what has been left up is the Sivir alongside the Cap. We had Soraka and Seraphine last game. The other part of the trinity of Enchanter supports with all the healing.
Rip the Poppy.
Yumi's in. Nami's locked in to join up alongside the Lucian.
And on this grim day, humanity just received a grim reminder of what lies outside the bans here. It is the Yumi being locked in again. Monstrous cat in that bot lane. And you have so much scaling on the side of BDS Academy already in the first 3 picks now.
Which means that it would be very wise from BDSA if they banned away the Victor, something that can provide so much space for Lucian to play around, something that Zverev has been a huge problem with. He won the previous game, he had 1.1k highest damage as we saw in the LDOC series, so get rid of that pick, possibly get rid of something like an Orianna or a Corki, something that giga scales into that late game, because as you can see, Heretics have had one side of the map favored for the entire year, and that has been the bot side. And in this story, we follow the same tracks.
Yeah, so you potentially can be looking at something like a Taliyah, which has kind of disappeared from this tournament. Taliyah can still shove Azir early on, can roam early on, and it still has more of a team fight viability compared to other picks left on the table. Of course, stuff like the Ahri has also been swinging in Zverev's pool, and I believe it was actually undefeated this split up until they faced BDS Academy in the group stage. So it was a pick that they would continually go towards, and is now up and available for them again. I wonder if that Taliyah will be locked in.
If I dare, I'd like to see something out of Aika's book, possibly that Varus build. Something that Caps also pulled out in G2, something that Aika has pulled out into the Azir, and something that is in general a pain to the champion, because you get to shove real quickly, you get that pseudo engage, if you will, with the ultimate as well. But talking about engage, Heretics do not lack any.
It's the same junglers from last game on the same people. The Wukong for Blue Resort, the Vi for Xiao. Now, Adam, what does he want to lock in the top side? It will be the Renekton, a staple for him, and something that's once again risen in priority for top lane. But it's left this counter pickup likely for... Actually, I apologize. That means the Sejuani's going top with that lock-in. Yep. So it does mean we're now looking for the mid lane option here for Zverev. See what he wants to play into that Azir. You suggested potentially that Varus.
Yeah, there's Varus, there's Taliyah, there's Ahri. There are a number of picks which can be locked up.
Xerath Vel'Koz.
Okay. Let's go to the Orianna instead. So it's instead champion which Rika played in game 1. Gotta go to Zverev instead. Scaling pick once more, gives you a lot of zone control. And looking at the Vi and this Renekton, this can stunt the engage fairly effectively. A good enough shockwave lands, and it means that the Renekton is going to struggle to reach their targets. Just deny some of that target access from this top laner of BDS Academy.
I actually really love what BDS Academy have drafted for themselves right here. The Azir and the Sivir do so much damage in that late game. You've got two constant damage dealers dishing out damage, AP and AD, and then you use that Renekton in the very early game. You play through Adam, use him into your river fights, and try to snowball your advantages through there. My only question mark here is that I want to see Xiao a little bit more active on the map, because I feel like he fell a little bit behind in game 1.
Yeah, he was uncharacteristically behind the play. Normally he's been the one starting place, particularly on the river. Last game, Blue Resort definitely got the better edge of that angle. This time around, I'll have Odote on that Yumi to empower him, or Adam most likely, and that can make things pretty tricky around those topside river fights to see how they play out. But on the other side, I mean, it's not like Heretics are lacking in teamfight damage themselves. We've got at least some options for both teams to play around. I'm just curious which team will come out ahead with it.
Now, here's the thing. When you're playing Lucian in general, you're looking to poke out or kill a squish at the very beginning of the fight. You just dash in. The fact that there's a Vi on the other hand side that can literally stun you in place with the ultimate and have a bunch of other people pile up might be a little bit difficult for that Lucian to pilot the early stages of a fight, if you will.
Yeah, I think what we saw from actually Fnatic showed this really, really well in LEC playoffs is that's where the Nami enters the equation. So Vi goes in, flying onto Lucian. Where's the rest of the team? They've been tidal wave behind them. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Whiten to find good ultimates to stop that Renekton getting in. And of course, the Shockwave's serving a similar purpose there as well.
They do indeed. And of course, you've got to see whether the side of BDSA will wipe out one more time or whether or not Heretics can continue their run on here. They already won Ode in the first game. BDSA losing for the first time in a very, very long time. 12-0 they were before that. Now they're looking to try and redeem themselves. It's a better draft for them this time. We have less question marks around the draft. And we'll see whether they can play it out from a potentially different position, a different look for them out of that draft phase.
I think in this game, we're going to see BDS Academy going towards this top side yet again, trying to get Adam with that advantage. But one thing that happened back in the LFL finals, though, when BDS Academy did lose to LDLC, was the Sejuani top lane pick into them by Ragnar. And Ragnar used this to nullify that laning phase. Now, Renekton is still a strong matchup against the Sejuani, but it doesn't tend to blow open the game. You don't get to tower dive as easily as some other matchups, and if Aibo can at least stay in the game, can be very difficult.
Late invade onto Sheo. BDSA, not aware of it. Blue Resort will hop on forward with the Nimbus Strike and keep them away from that blue buff. It will be a smite fight now unless Aibo can keep the jungler away, taken by Blue Resort.
So even though Vi is really strong level 2 and level 3 at fighting and finding the skirmishes, level 1 is barely a champion, especially if you level that W. Now Sheo, Blue Resort might actually look to take a flash here, but he's going to back out.
But what that means is that effectively Sheo can't contest this Gromp now. I mean, you've got a Blue Resort without smite, but if Blue Resort just holds E, can just wait for Vi to come around the corner and jump on them. Immediately, Blue Resort just looking to just stop Sheo getting ahead.
Forced out of that blue side jungle entirely. Blue Resort will be spotted on the control ward. Sheo drops early on, and then he's out of that jungle for now, and it will slow down that clear.
I actually love that early aggression coming from the jungle top from the side of Heretics as Rika is once again under attack. I love this because Aibo on the Sejuani, even though Sejuani is a very stable champion, she's running the Ignite. So she's very susceptible to falling down to ganks. Whilst Blue Resort now, as he's passing towards his bot side, he has the Prio.
He stole the red buff! He's still level 1!
He's waited until he got his second charge of smite before he went and found Sheo again, and immediately takes him out.
Guys, if that was solo queue, the jungler would have been spamming the Fervor right now in the chat.
Gosh.
He's not even got a refillable. He bought the control ward level 1, so he's got nothing to do. He's got to reset.
It's doomed. I think right here you're gonna have to have your Renekton possibly pull down from that top lane tower to try and just shield you so you can finally farm something. Luckily for Sheo, because he has started with the W, he has that Gromp still available for him. They're gonna spot him still, but luckily for him, Blue Resort is both side of the map. They need Adam ready to move if that top lane gets invaded yet again.
So, Sheo has got their first CS, which is technically a control ward, at 3 minutes and about 25 seconds.
We take those.
First camp is going to be at about 3 minutes 40. This is a ridiculously dominant early game from Blue Resort. And while you have a strong top side of the map being able to combat the Sejuani, who can struggle in the early laning phase, particularly with the Renekton helping you out, Heretics have done such a good job of setting themselves up for success in the top side.
And with that in mind, let's bring up that bot side graphic, or sorry, that jungle graphic is in the bot line. Never mind. We've got a bot line kill as Jack Spectrum Whiting get the solo kill as Blue Resorts run over Sheo in the jungle at the same time. Heretics running this game over.
But there's no way for BDS Academy to interact with this bot side. Blue Resort has stopped Sheo from bailing out any of these lanes, which means the kill lane of this 2v2 is happy to play as though the jungler's not there, because Sheo sure as hell isn't going to be.
And the funny thing I want to mention is Rika was actually hovering towards his jungler, but I'm like, you're not hovering towards anyone right now because your jungler is not coming to assist you. But once again, Erdote is trying to move forward to get that auto attack for that passive shield onto the Yuumi, but he gets caught by a bubble.
And as soon as you get CC'd, of course,
you get a 5-second cooldown.
Gives your W that extra bit of cooldown. And you don't have a flash to get out of here. Don't run that on the Yuumi. No mobility, no health bar. Goes down and suddenly kill towards the Lucian. Gets to sit on that Dirk as that first back item. Jack Spectra happy to really start dishing out damage already.
Oh, Shale gets caught and he's Dovar behind. Remember, he's only got the Ember Knife. Takes so much damage, but does at least survive this time around.
Also, reminder, the fact that you have Yuumi in the bot lane means that you have more summoners available to you. Does a 2 versus 2 break out, and now you've lost every single one of them. And with Whiting and Jack Spectra still sporting the flash on the bot side of the map, they can play even more aggressive like this.
Piercing Light comes through, Crownie chunked out, but it does at least get the bop and block. And it has been all go from the bot lane and jungle of Heretics, who have done their very best to make sure BDSA have a torrid time of it in the early minutes of this game.
And now what we're seeing in Game 2 is a very different look to Game 1, because this is more of what we saw earlier into this tournament from Heretics. They played more towards kill lane's bot lane. They played more towards getting Jack Spectra into position of power, but showing that they can do both in this finals is very important going into the rest of the games in this series. It gives BDS Academy so much more to consider when it comes to designing their drafts and playing the early game.
And I think I really agree with what Sheo is doing right here. He's trying to find the openings, because right now you're never gonna catch up to Bluerzor. You literally have 2 Ruby Crystals to potentially, if you do face that Wukong, you actually can run away with that extra HP that you have accumulated through these items, but you're never gonna reach him in terms of CS. He's 20 CS up at this point. That's 5 camps up for the Wukong, and every time he's gonna be spawning, he's going to be clearing them that much faster.
So what that means is, you know what we were talking about when the Lucian dashes forwards, potentially that Vi can shut
you're
them
not
down.
scared of the Vi.
Now the Vi is going to be there, and we're going to have this issue of Vi potentially just dying on the engage.
And let's bring up that jungle graphic again now that the bot side isn't in the immediate danger, because both of these junglers have been pretty extraordinary throughout the tournament. Bluerzor, as the tournament's gone in particular, has done a really good job, and this game has been pretty phenomenal.
And also, if you look at Bluerzor's stats, his gold difference at 15 is minus, his experience diff at 15 is minus. So yes, his kill participation and everything look really good, because he sacrificed all that to gank for his team, to play aggressive. This is why we said that if any team breaks the LFL, it's gonna be Heretics. It's gonna be that aggressive, proactive early game playstyle, where if they can snowball through that, they will break LFL teams that just want to take it slow and team fight their way to victory.
I like how on that graphic, Bluerzor was actually on the other side, because actually the blue side jungle has been Bluerzor as well. Glad that the graphics are immediately... But yeah, I mean, Bluerzor is just absolutely monstering this game so far. Wukong has been a pick that has been hugely banned throughout this season, never mind this tournament, but in this series as well. I expect it to be a huge point of contention between these two teams as well. It has allowed Bluerzor early game prowess into teamfight impact.
I will say, though, at the very least, Shale did manage to steal away a camp, and you can see in the red side jungle of Heretics, a lot of wards have gone down for BDSA, especially with the Herald coming up. Yes, the Vi's been put behind, but at least they've managed to get something done right now.
We take the small W slowly but surely, but Adam is in a lot of trouble. Bluerzor, though, not level 6.
No, he's not, but Ibo's going to throw down the Glacier Prison alongside the Ignite. Not a lot of healing to be done. A line straight through the scoreboard to prove exactly what is being done on the top side. Nothing left alive.
That was definitely 100% a meant-to-be line.
This is the danger of playing against someone like a Sejuani. Even if you do win the push, you win the priority. Renekton shoves in, Renekton overshoves, gets shut down by the huge base damage of Sejuani with a little bit of help from Bluerzor.
Well, the Herald spawns, Adam's dead, got no ultimate, and I wonder whether Bluerzor feels there's an opportunity here to go towards the Herald, but with some of the resets coming through, maybe decide against it for now.
So we're now looking at another very strong early game from Heretics. Of course, we need to bring in some questions about what's going to happen later into the game, because the way that you expect these teams to interact is basically what's going to happen when someone chooses to engage with their front line. Because while you can find the backline occasionally with a Vi flank with Renekton getting into it, a lot of the fights this game, you tend to assume are going to be, can we pick off the first target with something like a Culling in the mid lane, with something like a Shockwave or a Sejuani ult. And when your front line is so vastly different in gold, Sheo behind, Bluerzor ahead, that changes the way you're looking at these fights. I think if BDS Academy take a fight down the front, they are not going to win.
But I'm going to have to commend Sheo for one more time. The fact that this guy has had his blue buff stolen, his red buff stolen, yet he's managed to stay only 6 CS behind that Wukong that has been in a kill. He has taken that kill for himself. He's been taking more experience. He's been consistently invading Sheo's jungle, yet Sheo has managed to stay even with him on levels, whilst trying to figure out opportunities to try and sneak in a gank. And even right now, he's 1 level up on Blurzor. The fact that Xiao managed to find these small inklings to get himself back into the game means that this Vi is back in and is dangerous.
That's quite impressive, really. The triaging ability to play from behind and get yourself back in despite that really disgusting early game that went very wrong. Adam is just dead in the 1v1. Wait, no, the ultimate comes through. Dominus keeps Adam just about alive.
Just a prank.
Just a prank, but Adam playing with the health bar as a resource, and Aibo in the first 2 games giving as good as he takes in that 1v1. Got dove the first time in game 1. Game 2 had a little bit of help. Down in gold, but very much stabilized.
Got word for production. How much HP do you think Renekton survived on?
3.
4.
Oh, I was so
4
close.
HP.
Oh, gosh.
What did I win, though, if I won that?
I don't know, a nod of respect from me, your play-by-play caster.
Yeah, sense of pride
Not even
and
a cookie,
accomplishment.
anything? Something edible?
I don't make bets around donuts, Trouble. That's you.
That is true.
Well,
and I lose those.
well, Xiao, once again, eating through some jungle camps to get themselves back into relevancy. Going towards a tank build, which I very much commend this game as well, is less about the damage which Vi can do, more about can you survive that initial engage. And as Trouble is rightly bringing up, Xiao has clawed their way back into relevancy in terms of XP, in terms of gold, and I think they're itemizing correctly for their role in the team fight.
This is also how you stabilize the mental. The fact that everything got stolen from you in the early, the fact that you're able to use the resets, to use that bot lane power, to sneak in, steal that blue buff away. Again, Xiao has managed to claw his way back into this game, which means that the front to back that we talked about with the Sivir late game scaling, with the Azir late game scaling, is back online.
And speaking of that mental stability, stabilizing factor, I think that's very worthwhile talking about as well. Of course, we can't, there's a lot of conjecture when it's talking about teams which are obviously playing on the Rift. Not exactly stood in front of us right now, but this is a team that was on this huge winning streak. We didn't know how they were going to react to a first shocking loss in a lot of ways, but able to come back from even an early game deficit of that scale in this second game does show that BDS Academy still on the right track, still got their head in the game.
And they are down about 1,000 gold, but that's very playable from this point. Xiao will be spotted out with the wards, and we've got a second dragon that's just spawned. Heretics use their bot side pressure to secure the early dragon, but now in the bot side, Crownie has to flash and heal away. Unfortunate positioning.
The second ward is the deadliest. Sweep out 1, put it down after the sweep is gone. Catch out Crownie on the return back to lane. Now no summoners left on that Sivir for what could be the first crucial team fight of the game coming up.
But if we look on the top side of the map, Adam does have his teleport available if he wants to walk it down bot or even TP for this fight, which means they're going to have numbers advantage because Aibo has just used his, to get back into the lane. And Xiao, I really like the fact that they have put the Yuumi onto this Vi, because right now, having the Bami Cinder, you're probably the most dangerous one in your team that can use the Yuumi.
Here they go, trying into Jack Spectre. Flash, seated assist, final chance to put a turnaround. It's huge! Trying to keep him alive. The exhaust is doing it well, but they can't kill him. The Shurima Shuffle does its best to keep away the members of Heretics, but there's nothing to be done. Xiao falls, and the dive fails.
Look, you might be tanky, you might have a Yuumi on you, but you can't go that far. Flashes in, flash out from Lucian as well. And the rest of BDS Academy cannot follow up onto the prime target, who survives with just enough HP.
That was just too deep from the side of BDSA. I think the second you take that flash away from Jack Spectre, you take those and you back out. Xiao had already committed to the play. Unfortunately for them, just a quick reminder, Crownie had just lost both his flash and his heal, so he couldn't flash forward to assist with that DPS to take down the Lucian. And the winners out of this skirmish will be Heretics, because they have the numbers down bot. And I'm pretty sure after this play, they will potentially have gotten the Dragon too.
Looks like it's showed up on the scoreboard. Infernal
no
down.
one wants it. It's a
Jack
cloud
Spectre
drain.
top side does have his Gale Force.
There's the follow-up with the Glacial Prison. Adam pops ultimate and flash to escape, but does have to use those resources. And I appreciate the fact that Trouble with Jamada not on desk throws a dig at the Cloud Dragon before all that kicks off as well.
It's like, who wants that?
But I mean, it's not like BDS Academy have any dragons to their name right now, as they have.
You're imagining them.
I don't even have a comeback for that. I just don't have anything.
Oh my God, finally you got him, man.
He's got me. But BDS Academy, as we were saying, don't have any of those dragons behind in those neutral objectives, and it's not like the Herald has blown open the map in this game either. It's past those 14 minutes. Second one will be spawning shortly. And immediately, things which I'm recognizing is that Heretics are very happy to just walk around the map.
And I just really want to point out that I am a huge fan of Aibo ditching everything else and just going Frozen her first item because it works against Renekton. There's a bunch of attack speed coming in from the likes of an Z, from the likes of a Sivir, 80 damage as well, 80 damage on the Vi too. So all in all, I think it's just a great first buy. He has sacrificed a little bit of his clear, not having the Bummy Cinder item right there, but he doesn't necessarily really need it because he has been bullying the Renekton away.
Shows you how much faster paced this game has been, that actually the Dragon fell just now because we've been focusing on the kills. I just thought it was going to happen out there. See, it's another kill potentially.
Well, it's a Hurricane in the side of BDSA's blue side jungle. They'll escape for now, though. Ultimate pop from Odote and Crowne in trade for Blue Resource Cyclone.
That means that possibly the second Rift Out is going to go towards the side of Heretics. You cannot walk in. I think right here, BDSA, what they need to do is set down the vision in their own quadrants, because the only thing they can do right now is play defense. Get these items onto the Azir, get these items onto Sivir, wait for that Yuumi to have that next level on the ultimate, and then try to fight. But BDSA actually want to fight this right here, right now.
Okay, so no Tidal Wave, no Cyclone. Lots of fight ability not there from Heretics.
The culling comes through. Adam has popped the Dominance. That will secure the Herald, and Heretics have to back on out. Rika now throws forward the soldiers, but will not chase on. Just a fighting retreat from them, and they do get that Herald.
Okay, Ultimate Economy does work out for BDS Academy. They get themselves that Herald, and that allows them to make a power play. If you can blow open this mid lane outer turret in particular, that will allow them to maybe get that defensive vision, push up for higher amounts of mid priority, and secure themselves safe ability to play around the map.
Ibo trying to trade onto Adam here. Best he can. Will not quite get the permafrost proc, but both those top laners did teleport towards the bot lane, trying command control over that wave. But nothing going to amount from it for now. Show, as you said, did get the Herald. You need to see what they do with it. Your suggestion is mid lane. I suspect that is the right call.
Yeah, typically with a second Herald, because there aren't plate gold, there isn't plate gold in the equation, right? It's typically about whether you can finish a tower and open up a section of the map. Now, of course, top lane has been wailed on by Adams, Renekton most of the game. That's an easier one to take down, but particularly if you get mid lane out of turret, it fixes a lot of this issue with vision control that we're seeing from BDS Academy currently.
And for them to scale further into the late game, they're going to need this vision for themselves. Now, the problem is, how do you get Jack, Spectre, and Whiting out of that mid lane so you can use that Rift Herald, because they have been that sore spot for the side of BDSA that they cannot necessarily deal with. Really good stuff, though, from Rika. He's going to shove in that wave in the top side, get that top lane tower. Bot lane is almost down as well, so the question right here is, can you bunch up enough members in the mid lane to try and even kill or push out Jack Spectre from that mid lane to try and take the tower in turn?
Well, this is part of your vision control. Plenty of wards dropped down by Xiao, and this invade was seen doing so. So wow, Heretics know that Xiao has been active in their side of the jungle, so they're not going to go walking blindly through that point.
That's a Fnatic push.
They have a teleport onto Zvero as well if he wants to join the fight. You can see that Jack Spectre hovering around bot side of this mid lane. Just make sure he's not caught out by this wandering Xiao.
So much play around the vision control right now. Whiting stepping forward. Would really like to control that ward, but I think it's so risky. Everybody's there. They decided against it for now.
That was a really fun interaction because you just had two carries in the mid lane and they were looking each other in the eye and they're like, we know, you know.
I know, you know, we
exactly. Now behind each and everyone's burst, there's the entire team waiting.
It's the deadliest game of chicken you've seen in your life, or perhaps Raptors consider they're near the pit, but either way, the ward stays alive and Heretics don't take the bait this time around.
And what we're seeing is BDS Academy, they did just manage to push in that top side of the map, still have Herald to drop somewhere, so they have a power play in hand, and it does feel like for one of the first times in these first two games, BDS Academy now get to choose the next play on the map. They've been had to respond to a lot of the first plays in the first couple of games so far, and that amount of control is fairly scary if you're Heretics, because BDS Academy have, of course, been very proficient at doing so, but Adam's caught out.
Ibo has position heat-seeking with those, which is perhaps a little ironic considering the Glacial Prison is very much a frosty ability, but no one dies. Ultimate for ultimate trade.
But that is huge, because that Sejuani ultimate is the one that starts the fights for the side of Heretics, and with BDS...
There's no time, he's gone! Whiting gets that one, they're gonna keep going! Blue Resort is on into Crowne, but cannot quite get the kill. Rika shuffles over the wall! Ooh. They get the shutdown with the ricochets. 1-for-1, jungler for jungler. Aqua Prison dodged away from by Adam. And now in the 4v4, do either team feel comfortable to go for this dragon?
But like your Rift Herald is down now because Sheo just died. He had Shirley in his back pocket. You could have put it in the mid lane, walked into that river. The second you got that huge Setsuani ult, that's no longer a tool for the sort of Heretics. That was your win con. Sheo overextends yet again, ends up losing his life. And now none of these two teams have their smites up and available. They need to dance around a little bit until Sheo and Bluazor are up on the map.
And you've got a Ludens onto Rika. There's not a huge amount of magic resist on the other side. Scratch, there's basically none. So this is it. It's starting to win out and
Crowny.
poke.
Flash. Has to get on out of that. Ivo chunked out though. Rika now hopping forwards. He gets the free moment to chunk. Jack Spectre out. Gets the soldiers forwards. Can't quite get the last order. Sheo looking to go forward. Cease. Desist. Dead. Jack Spectre. Adam claims the kill. And now they'll see whether they can get anything more. But no. They'll take the one kill and consider that a worthy trade.
BDS Academy striking back, playing it slowly, knew they had position on the map, and they even used the Herald to add insult to injury.
Turn around, Adam Jake solo, but he's got no dominance. Can't quite secure the kill though. Tower stays alive, but what about BDSA? Do they feel like they can still secure it? Rika gets hit with the Aqua Prism, but there's not enough follow-up, and the tower falls anyway.
The mana bars are extremely low on Heretics, so they cannot push the trigger to try and get underneath this tower and save it for themselves. So BDSA, second time's the charm, they say. They tried the first time, Sheo died, he came back onto the map, grabs the kill onto Jack Spectre, which then allows them to put that Shelly in the mid lane, take the tower, and also stop that very important soul point from going over to Heretics. BDSA have gotten 3 eggs in their basket with that one fight.
They have, and big difference between Game 1 and Game 2 has been the presence of Rika. Adam can have to get some more pressure put towards him.
Dominus for Cyclone. Zuero looking for the kill, but a flash away will prevent an easy shockwave, and Adam gets out alive.
Adam has been soaking so much pressure, and while most of the time we have considered that a bad litmus test for BDS Academy, because you want Adam to be ahead, to be pushing his own advantage, just taking cooldowns away and surviving has meant a lot in the last couple of minutes because the rest of the team is actually starting to do a significant amount of work. We saw those Boomerang Blades from Crowny finishing off a kill, doing damage. Rika also leading into the damage too. Adam just absorbing pressure has been more than enough so far.
Yeah, and due to that, Rika is 1 level up, Crowny is 1 level up, because Jack Spectre just hit level 11 onto his Lucian, which means that Crowny is up in levels and experience.
Crowny chokes so low, will not quite die to the culling. Sheo turning around, teleports galore, but can they get out? Jack Spectre stays alive with a flash, shockwave afterwards, trying to get the kills, but there's just not enough damage. Trying to finish this one up, not gonna happen. Health bars low, no one is dead.
Oh gosh, you can see that shockwave having so much value. This was the value of the Orianna pick, just being able to just disengage away from the tankier front lines if they're stood in front of you. It works out this time. That was dangerously close to once again Jack Spectre getting caught out.
And with that, we need to take a moment here to reset, catch our breaths. 22 minutes into the game is pretty damn even. BDSA have claimed themselves a slight gold lead, but it's not even 1,000 gold at that. 2 items for Rika and Crowny is what I've got my eyes on. They hit 3 and things get tricky for Heretics with the way scaling works in this game. Already Blue Resort not enjoying standing in those soldiers.
Also something we didn't mention at all is how many targets Yuumi has. The Sivir, the Azir is even a good target, the Vi, the Renekton. Every single target for Yuumi is viable, but right now the only target on their screens is Vero.
He's not going to burn the flash. He knows it's pointless. Will die to Rika. Cannot get out of there quick enough and falls to the might of Rika.
And it's not like Heretics have any real response on the map. They're going to clear out 1 pink ward in the mid lane, but they weren't pushed up across anywhere else in the map. And the work which BDS Academy put into recovering Ambition Control
takes a lot. Cyclone Prison goes wide. Now Blue Resort has to get on out of there.
And this is the thing, this is another play by BDS Academy. Their hard-fought vision control has led to a kill topside. They saw that engage coming with that ward in the mid lane, and now they're able to start up this Baron. Multi-step plan, putting BDS Academy into a strong position.
And Heretics have to use 2, initialized ultimates, which they don't have. And they both are. They're engaged ultimates, Zuani ult, Wukong ult, all done for. But BDSA, knowing there's a teleport, which actually is going to be... Now they're going to question my pinging on the top side of the map. They're like, possibly we could have fought this, but Heretics, they're looking for more.
Oh, recall stuns.
Crowny, so much damage, but it's still going to be a 4v5. Talon turns it around, trying to get the kill. Stunned up, Adam dies, but now it's still traded back onto Jack Spectre. A 1-for-1, but the AD carry falling is a big deal. Can Crowny get far enough away? Permafrost will not quite get him with the Winter's Flail. Gets him at the end of it all. Aibo shuts down Crowny. Rika shoves him away. Aqua Prison is not enough to kill him off because Yuumi is a hell of a champion. The Zoomies will not keep him alive, though. A double for Rika. It's a 3 for 3, all things said and done. And Sheo, with the cat on his back, will try and escape for now.
Well, I mean, Heretics say we fought ourselves into this mess. Let's find our way out of it and somehow come out with a 3-4-3.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember how long that fight went on. This was potentially very dangerous, but the backs were cancelled from BDS Academy.
That was a fight where, again, there was no Sejuani ult, no Wukong ult. These are your two main tools to engage or disengage a fight for the side of Heretics. But at the end, it's going to be only 2 members surviving right there. Crowny was almost saved by Ardota, who was just jumping on him as well. And indeed, the fact that Yuumi does exist in this game, the healing, the shielding, Rika should have been dead long ago right there, yet he gets to put even more damage into this fight before he goes down. This is going to be problematic because scaling is going to seriously come through the second Ardota hits level 11.
And one of the first things we talked about in terms of how these team comps interact is how quickly can the Vi live, die, engage, going to be fired off again.
Misses the way of the wall. Does have flash, will have to use it.
And again, Sheo just able to survive. Is tanky, has the Yuumi on top of them. And even though they're in a dangerous position, if they were further behind, if they hadn't clawed their way back into that early game, this could be a very different scenario.
And a reminder, that fight in the jungle was, for large parts of it, a 4v5. The Orianna had teleported to the top lane tier 2. Still came out 3 for 3 after Sphero turns up at the end of it, but we've got ourselves 20 seconds or so until an Ocean Drake still point for Heretics, and both teams seem willing to fight.
I'm seeing Rivers and I'm seeing Rika onto this Azir, and I'm getting deja vu where his Rima pinched everyone into the pit and absolutely decimated. And Rika is again onto his pick, has shoved everyone into this choke point.
Sheo.
Much better game from him this time around. Jack Spectre throws out the culling, chunked out pretty low. Oh, Sheo's under the bush! Jack Spectre goes over the wall all the same. The Aqua Prison keeps Sheo alive. Glacial Prison in turn goes wide. There will be a jailbreak for BDSA. They get out on that one free.
But that's exactly how BDSA get their leads, right? They're using Rika now that he has his 2.5 items, shove everyone back into this choke point, and anyone who's trying to come out, look at the 2 soldiers. They're literally waiting there. Whoever walks through, they're actually in instant danger of being shuffled back into the Rika's team. And so far, Rika has gone very under the radar onto this Azir. 1,000 gold up on Sphero, 3-1-3, very close to something that supposedly is probably a death cap coming in. And I'm just waiting for the huge Shurima shuffle that's going to change the next sequence.
And I think this is why Heretics, well, one of multiple reasons why Heretics aren't committing as heavily to these fights, because if you're engaging into those soldiers, just say goodbye at that point. 2.5 items, Rika, such a night and day difference between game 1 and game 2. Heretics forcing their hand, though. Rika has to teleport back in.
The Heretics going for a bit of a Hail Mary. Ain't that ironic considering their name? Down to half HP. Over the wall is Sheo. Vault Breaker charged up, goes over, but it's Blue Resource clone.
They can continue it. They can continue it now and force Heretics to fight in them. Adam has jumped behind the pit, and Rika's putting so much poke down. Heretics have to run for the heals, but now that they're split, maybe BDSA can just find a pick.
They're looking instead at that mid lane tier 2. Crowny's on that one, but the turnaround's pretty big. Sheo chunked out, but the tidal wave goes wide. We're trying to potentially bait out Sheo's ultimate, or just a misclick, who knows? Shove away from Rika, keeps him around. Aibo, in he goes, but the Arctic Assault puts him in the ground. Top lane are dead for Heretics.
And the Heretics had a load of AoE ultimates there. Everyone piled in together, but the damage isn't there onto the front line. There's enough gold on the Renekton, on the Vi. There's a Yuumi to keep them topped up as well, and Heretics really struggling when these grouped up fights have come to the fore.
Mind you, if anyone wants to have some business into this Baron pit, Sheo still has ultimate. The second he pins someone down, things like Rika on the Azir, Adam onto the Renekton can jump over the pit. Bluerzor is still alive, and they do have vision on top. They're going to have Adam on the back of the pit and a bunch of soldiers.
Flash in a
Can
dream.
he do it?
He get in? He's in! He's got it! Heretics steal the Baron!
Bluerzor, that is a game-saving play!
Okay. This is a game-saving play indeed, because with Sivir and Azir, if you have Baron, no one can step up to the wave. Again, we're seeing this replay right before the Baron, where BDSA are fighting Heretics in very tight choke points. And that tidal wave missing right there from Whiten was very crucial, which meant that Rika could still stick around together with Adam. They use also the shockwave from the Orianna, but a beautiful shuffle from Rika. While this is going on, bot lane wave is pushing, Crowny has pushed mid wave, and they're forcing Heretics' hand from the side of BDSA. You're either gonna fight us or allow us to take your towers and push in our waves. And right here, Bluerzor posing the miracle still. They've even put Adam outside to try and stop Wukong, but the problem is Wukong can go invisible with his W, and you will not be there or see him in time to stun him in place to not allow him to get in.
Okay, so Dragon 2 minutes, that's going to overlap with the Baron buff. We'll have to track with how Heretics can try and wrangle control of this map. Currently, they're stacked in the mid lane, but they're on their own half of the map. Baron, it gives them that gold injection, and most importantly, it means it's not on BDS Academy. But what can they actually do with it right now? Because they are... You're not going to get too many opportunities like this.
It's the edge of infinity that Jack Spectra is standing on right now. He's got that third item. He's got an Imperial Mandate to back him up. Can he find the pick before the fight? It's oh so crucial. Not if he gets chunked out like that. Sheo forced to flash away from Whiten's Nami as well. Big couple ultimates now burned alongside the summoners.
That's actually crazy. Rika steps up and everyone from Heretics have to flash away, they have to jump away, they have to hold away, and Sheo, he's still chasing, but mid lane wave is pushing it. They're gonna get a mid lane tower for free. It's Heretics having the Baron, but BDS ain't taking the towers.
Well, it's not for free, because the reason they're engaging this is because Svaro is on the top side, pushing out a turret. Heretics are just trying to hold the line while this Orianna is getting at control in another lane.
Does get one tower there, so it will be a 1-for-9 in terms of tower trades for now. Can she get on top of that tier 2 for long enough to secure it? Blue Resort still on a flank, but that will be a 1v2 he desperately does not want.
So he's being a battle walled right now, just trying to be that advanced notice for Svaro to start playing, but I don't know if they can disengage fully from this if they want to commit. I guess they are out for free, so 2 turrets that extend the trade, and a dance of knives between the two teams.
Now, the most important thing from this push from the side of BDSA is that they managed to put a bunch of wards down towards the side of Heretics. 35 seconds for that next dragon. It's going to be soul point for both teams. But for BDSA, having three dragons and getting Ocean Soul with 3 on the back, it's going to be immense healing through this one.
Turn around, trying to get the kill, can't quite get it. Rika gets away from the Aqua Prison, but Sheo chunked out, taken so long the Tidal Prison. Does his problem. Sheo's alive, though. The final chapter is going to lock people up, but not for long. BDSA on the retreat. Rika is down. Rika is dead. So is Adam, and Heretics fine too. How much more can they get off the back of this?
I'm not actually sure. Dragon is going to be up, so soul point to the side of Heretics. And these hard-won fights even go back just a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so. BDS Academy was starting to rule the territory, take these front-to-back fights with ease, but Heretics, they find a Sejuani ult to burn so much, and that Nami tidal wave is the follow-up they need to fire and just burn down that first target enough to win the fight.
I mean, roll the tape and tell me that the Sivir is peeling backwards through a choke point and doesn't kill everyone chasing, and I will call you a straight-up liar. It feels like that Sivir has not yet come online. We have not seen that front-to-back come into fruition from BDSA, because very simply, your front line is dying too quickly. Your Renekton is a pseudo-tank. The Vi right now has bunched in 2 tank items. Sheo still goes down first or has to ditch out of the fight. And if we see this again, Sivir cannot put down the damage.
This is on vision. This is on vision. You see it coming. They still walk up. They are inviting this play, but this is the big thing for me. That tidal wave buys enough space to get huge amounts of damage onto Sheo. Sheo doesn't ult a target in this fight. You don't have the Vi straight onto the Lucian. And for me, that's the story of the game. It's whether the Vi can shut down the Lucian's ability to play this fight or not. And we've seen it go either way so far.
How many auto attacks did Crownie put down in this fight?
1.
I wasn't counting.
2.
Also, that's not what you need with your 3 items.
It's just really difficult. You need to play the front to back. You need to use your Renekton and your Vi in front of you as mid shields while you keep putting in all those ricochet crits over to the other team. The other team is extremely squishy, minus the Sejuani, right? Even the Wukong is going towards that Bruiser build. You hit him with a couple of crits, he melts down.
And thinking of this again, Heretics are only in this position because of their hero Baron steal, and they are poised to take more
go again. Flash from Blue Resort! He gets Crownie! The AD carries down that Sivir, gets no more auto-attacks off this fight than the last one. Blue Resort still alive, Adam dead. Rika is alive with a Yuumi. In goes Jack Spectra. Stopwatch keeps him alive for now. Ivo hopping forward to the Arctic Assault forces Rika to stopwatch in turn. He has not got an ultimate. He's not got a life. They're trying to keep him alive. White is chunked out. The turnaround's pretty huge. But it's not enough! The Heretics get everybody!
And they tricked us with game number 1. They picked Scale in bot lane, Senna Seraphine, they play the Lucian Nami, they play the early game aggression. Every single one of their lanes has gotten ahead. Even the Sejuani has kept even with the Renekton and Heretics. Who would have thought that they were 2-0 an LFL finalist?
And for a team that was 12-0, hadn't lost a game to anyone besides their regional rivals of LDLC for over 2 months, to almost be on the precipice of taking 2 games back-to-back is insanely impressive from the Heretics. And these front-to-back fights are going better and better for the LVP first seed.
I just have to say, Aibo, in my eyes, could potentially be probably the best top laner we have in the ERLs. The fact that he can play so many different champions to perfection. He said Sejuani, he has not missed a single important ult. He's always started the fight. He's always made sure to peel for his team. And honestly, the fact that he stands against Adam, one of the most aggressive ERL top laners that we have right now, and comes out on top is damn impressive.
It's the fact that they're so coordinated with the rest of the team too, because when he's going for it, you've got a tidal wave. You've got Blue Resort heading in as well, and that's one thing which has stood out from Heretics. They are just so bloody-minded at saying, we are committing, we're going for it, let's make the play.
The Heretics looking to lead a revolution against the French Empire. 3 titles in a row, all of them in the hands of Kami and Core. They're not here this tournament. BDSA are here to try and do it for the region without them, and they are looking down the barrel of a 2-0 in favor of the Heretics.
And look how split right now BDSA is. They're inviting them in. Where do you want to come from? Because everything has been warded from the side of Heretics, and they're literally waiting for BDSA with open arms. They've got the engage in their hands. If you want to walk through these choke points, the likes of Wukong and Sejuani will catch you together with Orianna. It's so difficult for BDSA. They have to push in that middle wave and create a second pressure point on the map.
So they do have vision. Sam was actually just pointing that out too. As you can see those wards which they're walking right over, it means that these mid lane fights not as easy to approach, and they have themselves that Sun Disc in that mid lane, and Rika does damage. 3.5 items, not enough magic resist to it.
Shale is going to be out of there with a Mikhails to keep him alive, but that is down now. Jack Spectra taking down a 10% HP, is healed up with the ebb and the flow, but currently the tides are going in favor of BDSA, at least for the moment. 30 seconds into what would be solved for Heretics, but it's BDSA with control of the mid-wave.
And what this has also bought time for is one of the most important things in this game. Adam's flash on this Renekton. It's now back up. If you don't have that flash as the Renekton when you're in late game, good luck reaching your targets. He has that for what could potentially be a game-ending fight in the next few minutes. Baron is up. Soul Point is already been achieved for Heretics, so Soul has been threatened. BDS Academy, where are they going to commit to?
Yeah, BDS are actually on the back foot right here because they have to choose between stopping the Soul and stopping the Baron. Stopping the Baron it is.
They're here in time. Adams popped out the Dominus. Glacial Prison comes down on top of Aibo, chucked out. My God, the damage from Rika is beginning to take up Crownie at 4 items as well. This Sivir is online now.
And it's so much more important to take the Dominus away from Renekton than take the Ultimate away from Sejuani.
Check Solo has got the Geo down into it. Adam, no Dominus, will get out there with the slice and the dice. Blue Resort, dead! The jungler is down. Rika gets that one, and now it's a 5v4 in favor of BDSA.
BDSA, they're holding their battle lines, and this time Blue Resort doesn't find the target, doesn't have flash to go that extra bit of distance, and Rika is doing so much damage on this Azir.
And he was tracked the entire time.
They're going for it, they're going for it, they're going for it. They're doing Baron. They're trading the Baron away. They have no jungler, which means that if Shale walks up, he can actually steal it literally straight away from in front of their eyes. I do not think... I don't know if they're quick enough. Adam is around.
It's going to be a fight. Adam's here, down to 3,000 HP. They've got a shockwave to try and secure it. Glacial Prison comes it down. It's taken, but can they get out of there? Jack Spectra trying to heal his way out of this one. Cleanse gets over the wall. Here comes Shale and Rika. Jack Spectra will be the sacrifice, and it's traded for Baron, a worthy one.
Oh gosh, so Heretics just not able to quite win out on that trade. They end up taking down the Baron, but with their AD carry gone, they're not able to fight for the next minute.
This game has been oh so close. It felt like BDSA crested the corner, and then suddenly Heretics find their way into a Baron and a lot of kills. BDSA now with the opportunity to shove in with a man advantage.
I feel this is so important for Heretics because you're outrange right here. You have an Azir that's constantly poking you down. You have a Sivir that's constantly throwing boomerangs and ricochets at you. Add a Baron in a composition like this. It is so scary to siege against, but right now Heretics are buying themselves time. We're saying they're buying themselves time. It's not because of scaling, it's because they want to try to find the right opportunity for themselves. They want Blue Resource, Guardian Angel to be back up, fortified, to try and dive into the backline. They want flashes on Jack Spectra. They want the Ignite back attack on Eyeball. They want to have all the tools available to them to dive the backline of BDSA, because on a complete front-to-back, BDSA win.
Yeah, I think that's the real point, right? They're buying themselves time, and that's not because they will eventually win. It's not that situation. It's because they're buying themselves time from a very scary BDS Academy, buying themselves chances for more opportunities to find that engage. They can win team fights, but the ways they do so are so much more limited than what BDSA have available to them.
Shadows over the wall, looking to try and get close enough to someone like Jack Spectre, who's got no flash. The tidal wave comes through alongside the Aqua Prison. Disengage tools are used by Heretics.
Yeah, but it's used, but not while BDS Academy are full committing. It's not like it's a tidal wave over that cease and desist. Shio still has everything available.
There, they're going in the pivotal, into the shockwave. The combo gets Shio. Stopwatches. It's not enough as Rika falls as well. They get 2 for 1, and BDSA are on the retreat.
Okay, while there are more limited keys to victory for Heretics, they find one in this fight, 2 for 1.
The key fits the lock, and BDSA lose 2.
That is 45 seconds onto Rika, and the Heretics are literally running it down. They're going to TP onto that top wave. They have a fat wave in the top side. Aibo kept it alive. They still have Baroned up minions. They could end right here and right now. They're pulling the second TP.
Limited keys fit the lock, and they've opened the base already. Is it enough to find their way to the vault and the nexus within? They've got some time. 25 seconds on Rika. 4v3. This looks like it.
Look for the shockwave. How much can Zverev do?
They're hopping for Adam. He's trying to stay alive. Flashes away with the help of Mikhails. One Nexus turret falls. Heretics looking down to get a 2-0 in the series. They were supposed to be the underdogs. They were supposed to be losing. Who the hell do you think you are? Nexus falls. Heretics 2-0.
From all the way to groups, over to the quarterfinals, they said they were gonna lose to Unicorns of Love. To their semifinals, they went in as the underdogs versus LDLC. And a lot of people questioned it. They're like, but Heretics, you've played so many 5-game series. Surely people will be able to read you because they've seen so much sample size of your games in official tournaments. That's not the case, because you can see it that way, but how Heretics saw that is as official scrims. And they're taking that official scrim time straight into BDSA.
Before today, the matchup between these two ERLs, LVP and the LFL, was 33-20 to the side of the French. In this tournament, Heretics was 0-2'd against BDS Academy.
Maybe single digits after today?
And it just doesn't matter. In the finals, you can just wash away everything. And now they stand on match point, 2-0 up.
The throne of the Amazon European Masters is up for grabs. It has been a French dynasty for a damn long time, but Heretics are looking to live up to their name. They have made an incredible run to the finals. They are 2-0 up. They are 1 game away from being crowned champions before they head into the LEC as its newest organization. Stick around, the drama just doesn't end. We'll see you after this break.